Great, thanks very much, John. Next item on the agenda is a fireside chat between Keith Boyle, CEO of Newfound Gold, and Matt Gordon of Crux Investor. Newfound Gold is a mineral exploration company focused on the advancement of mineral properties in Newfoundland and Labrador. The company actually just announced their initial resource estimate for their flagship Queensway Gold Project with a preliminary economic assessment scheduled for later this quarter. So without further ado, please help me welcome Keith and Matt to the stage.
Yes. All right. Hello, everyone. First of all, I just want to say well done to Joanne Joblin and her friends putting this on. Magnificent. And I think this is one some people have told me they're looking forward to, a chat with you and me. You're the new guy on the block.
I am.
Been here since, what, January?
January.
How are you finding it?
It's been a whirlwind since January. The expression that came out early on was Newfound Gold 2.0.
Okay.
And that's really what this has been like, is really a reset from where the direction it had gone in, and just a 90-degree pivot.
Right. Well, I mean, that's kind of started from the kind of change at board level, new chairman, new CEO,
Yep.
and others.
And new management team, senior management team, to really, we kept the good in exploration, and I'll say the environment, sustainability, social piece. They've been doing a great job of that.
Right.
But what they didn't have was the skill set to now take it down the development path. And so putting that team in place in February has led us to, down that very quickly, getting a resource out, initial resource, and then advancing to PEA, which we'll have out end of the month.
Right. Could they have gone earlier?
Yeah, they would have. Looking back, easy to say, depending on what lenses you've got. Probably about 2.5 years too long of drilling. They could have stopped drilling, gone down the small development path. There's such a high-grade core there that they could have started producing. Well, they'd be in production now.
Interesting. Well, let's look at the team that's come in. Right, tell people your background.
So my background is 40-year mining engineer. I've been lots of places in the world, but really more than half my career has been narrow vein gold in the Abitibi, Timmins Camp, Northwest Territories, but underground, open pits, out back of Australia. So
right.
No gold, no high grade, no grade control, nuggety. Seen lots of it, and have some scars too on when you don't do the right thing.
It comes back, it bites you.
Boom, you get
well, let's kind of look at what the setup is here, because obviously I think great expectations were set in 2020, 2021. 22, etc., and the drilling kept going, and you've come in and said, right, okay, let's build this thing. You must have some choices as to the jobs that you took on. What did you see here that made you think this is the one for me?
So I saw, a robust resource, because when they found a chute, when they hit the high grade, and I've not seen core like this where through the whole length of call it 2 to 6 meters of quartz, you've got these specks of gold all the way through, where the core loggers, all they do now, they don't circle them anymore, they just count and say, oh, it's in the range of the 90 to 100, or, they're just counting them. And so when they hit those, they really zeroed in and got their drilling down to, in some cases, as small as 10-meter centers. So although we've got an indicated resource in some of those places, it's fairly tightly drilled. So to me, when I saw that, it was reinforcement that, yep, those chutes, they exist because they followed them. And then the next piece was it starts at surface. They've exposed it at surface. They channel sampled it at surface. The biggest thing with veins is you get these intersections underground. If you don't connect them up right, you get surprised, which are, I've got the bruises on the nose and the forehead to do that. I've done that a few times. You get underground, you're very surprised. Whereas here, You know, they've got 2 exposures there that are 4 football fields big each.
Right.
So they've done a really good methodical job of identifying, interpreting, and now putting a really solid resource around it.
Right, that's the data you're choosing to focus on, because I say they drill a lot, like
Yep.
probably a lot more
Yep.
than you need. They did bounce around and were hitting like high-grade golds
Well,
everywhere
sure, they
they
played
went.
Battleship. They played Battleship.
Bit of battleships going on, but your job now is to kind of bring this together, hang it together in an economic or targeted way.
So now
What does that look like?
you've got a resource that it's, you know, 3/4 is the open pit. So you'll have an open pit mine with an underground contributor. We'll have time while we're starting the open pit to better define what the underground lenses are and how they're shaped and how they're interpreted, so that we got good continuity when you get under there. But when you're in an open pit, it's about grade control and how you really manage dilution. So, but with an open pit, you're down to 0.3 gram cutoff. So it's not as much of an issue.
Right.
Because it's all going through the mill anyway.
So let's kind of remind people some of the numbers. You put out an initial resource recently. Again, slightly disappointed the market, because I think retail expected a lot more.
Yep.
But as a realist, you've got to say, well, we've got to start somewhere.
Yep.
Let's get this in the bag.
Yep.
2 grams per ton. Again, people would have expected more.
Yep.
But you're saying, no, this is good. Why is it
solid. It's a solid resource. I mean, you know, the fellow at SLR that did it, one of the good resource geologists. I mean, he was very methodical about it, and we had the conversations many times. Narrow veins, if you don't, you know, deal with them appropriately in these estimates, you can easily overestimate. Having said that, I think it's a good, solid, even conservative approach to this one. Good one for the first one.
Right.
And so, and with it on surface, we'll be able to, you know, target a bulk sample.
Right.
In order to reconcile against some of these estimates and see exactly what we've got.
But you're going to be utilizing sort of 20 pits, as it were. 20 targets, which you're going to
Well,
work
there are 20 clusters of veins.
Right.
That the pit's optimized on. And in between, there's veins that haven't been drilled off yet. That still opportunities there. But having these number of clusters will allow us to, one of the opportunities, actually, we're going to mine one out right away and use it as in-pit tailings. And so we won't have a tailings dam on site.
So explain that. You're basically digging out one pit.
And just fill it back in with the tails.
Right.
Yeah. And then we'll make sure to sequence so that we never have to
clean up,
build a tailings dam, and you reclaim as you go, really, and just cover it and plant a few trees, or, you know, make it nice. And so that will help too with permitting.
Right.
You know, you don't have that legacy that you have to deal with.
Right. So let's kind of get into some the numbers. I guess money is what I'm going to talk about.
You want to talk
we like
money?
the money, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
So, you know, drilling for the sake of drilling and showing the extent of this district was probably, it was not working anymore. For you, said, right, let's come in, let's get some money flowing with this starter project.
Yep.
Right. Is that, you also talked about bulk sampling as part of that component. How you get things going.
So part of the de-risking, I'll say part of the de-risking of the project is to make sure your estimate is good, your resource estimate. So we're looking at bulk sample probably next year. We still have to permit it. And with that, that will feed into the feasibility study that will come, you know, towards the end of next year. All the engineering work we'll do this year will be to the fees level, so enough variability testing, enough geotechnical testing around all the pits. So we just raised money this past week. Yeah. And we're funded.
We're funded. Tell the folks how much?
So we had a bought deal that was upsized to 76 million, and just waiting on the green shoe to come for another 15%. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so it'll top the 8.
It helps.
80,
it all helps. Well, it kind of lets you, I guess, deliver on your vision for how you move this project forward.
Yeah. So PEA at the end of this month, feasibility, call it end of next year, into 27. The permitting towards the end of this year, beginning of next, to submit an environmental assessment, and then that I mean, Newfoundland, I've got, hats off, great to work with. I can see that already. So I'm saying 12 to 18 months to get that EA across the line. The people at site have done a great job. And so, with that, then sort of mid-27, shovel in the ground decision. So, we funded now to the bulk sample. We'll see what the bulk sample gives us, but that should get us then to that shovel in the ground decision.
Okay, so bulk samples being used in the market to get some money into some companies. You're going to look at it from the point of view, it's going to tell us some stuff?
It's going to de-risk, yep.
Can you monetize that?
Yep, it's part of that permitting
You're allowed
process.
to take that.
Well, sure, part of the permitting process that we have to work with the government on.
And you're going to work on how much bulk sampling?
I
You got to work on it.
I got to work on what that is.
And you're not gonna tell me?
There's a range there that
Yeah.
and I'm not going to tell you.
No.
No,
I had to
I'll
ask.
talk to them first, and then
Let me know.
I'll let you.
Okay. Let's look at people. Okay, the board's changed, management's changed.
Yep.
You're talking about being a builder, so you're going to need a different skill set
Yep.
on site moving forward. Where are you going to get them from?
So we're lucky enough that we live, the project is 15 kilometers outside of Gander. So, it's basically built a mine in Val-d'Or. It's even closer than the Louvicourt mine where I was in Val-d'Or. Your Tim Hortons coffee doesn't even get cold. So, people will be able to come out of Gander. Gander is a population of about 12,000, but it serves a region of about 44,000. And the few times I've flown into and out of Gander, half the plane was people that were flying in and out to the other operations in Canada. So I suspect we'll be able to feed the skilled workforce, like the trades in particular.
Yeah.
More local, we'll be able to train, operators and truck drivers and whatnot. I think we can.
Right. Now,
that.
obviously in the market, been a bit of M&A. It always is at this time of the cycle. The big boys are picking up more reserves.
Yep.
'Cause that's what the institutions want. For you guys, you're going to build this thing out. You're not setting up for someone to come in. That's what you're intent on doing.
See, the interesting part, so my experience on that, which is a couple now, my last one being at Reunion, was that we had the team to execute, and we were executing.
Yeah.
If someone really finds it attractive, everything's for sale at the right price, but we'll have the team to execute.
Right. And we're running out of time here, but the thing for me is, right, I get the starter project. I'm trying to understand how you use that to then develop the district, because like I say, a lot of the battleship drilling that's gone on before suggests there's a lot out there. It's just bringing it together in a way which you can monetize in some way, shape, or form.
So we got a resource that really spans an envelope of about 4.5 kilometers. We have a property package that's 20 kilometers wide, and if you took that swath and just actually laid it over from Val-d'Or to Rouen, that's what we have. 2 major fault zones on it. And so we've got 110 kilometers. We announced some results recently at 11 kilometers away, and there's no shortage of targets. It's along those 2 fault zones. There is no shortage of targets. 90% of the drilling down to about 250 meters, wide open at depth. So along those faults, Mother Nature's cracked the ground, and we're studying exactly how she did it.
So number one priority for you is the starter project. Let's show this works.
Get cash flow.
Get cash flow.
So that we can then feed the bigger animals.
Will you be doing any kind of preparatory exploration work in terms of?
So about 80-20. So 80% is
okay.
focused on the project development, with 20% is still focused on our priority target.
You want to be able to show some growth potential.
Yeah. Well,
you think is there.
You got to unbutton a shirt to attract
Please
the
don't
suitor.
do that. Yeah, good.
That was for my French Canadian crowd. That was the literal translation, actually.
It's too much. Right. Lovely to meet you. I think, like I say, I think most people expect this to be combative, but I think it kind of feels like adults in the room time where it's fit for purpose, and you can move this project forward with the right people. So appreciate your time.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Cheers.
Merci beaucoup.
Okay.